Hey everyone, David here. So another episode of The Walking Dead premiered and I got a review for it. This time it is for the episode titled Not Untie. And spoilers will follow for the episode. And this was it's the slower of the three that we've had after the mid-season break. But fortunately, it kind of evaded my expectations of it being a filler, considering how we had two back-to-back good episodes. Granted, I will admit, I think this episode started off with a little bit of a bumpy start because I felt like the first 5 minutes teetered on soap opera level. It felt like one of those good soap operas that have been on for like 20 years or so, that they were praised enough that they were able to stay on the air for that long, and The Walking Dead definitely looks like it's going to stay on the air for that long. But it felt like a soap opera nonetheless, because it was dealing with all the romanticism going on in Alexandria. But it had me worried that the episode was going to focus on that, and it was going to jump back and forth to those filler moments. You had Glenn and Maggie, you had Rick and Michonne, and then you had Abraham trying to figure out whether or not he should settle down between Rosita or Sasha. And this actually became a running theme throughout the episode, and I felt like it was a good choice to center this on Abraham rather than with any other character. And fortunately, they didn't do too much with it to where it was overbearing, and I'm like, okay, just cut to Jesus and whatever's going on with him. Fortunately, they used them wisely in places that it fits, especially leading up to one of my favorite bits in the episode where he approaches Glenn. He approaches different characters about settling down, Daryl and other people, and he approaches Glenn and he's like, you know, when you pour the mix quick, do you plan on making pancakes? That part had me laughing for a good while, and I felt like they always give Abraham the best lines, and that line is definitely going to stick with me for a while. It's one of the more memorable lines to not only come from The Walking Dead, but also come from Abraham the character. But fortunately, things get rolling as soon as Jesus shows up within Rick and Carl and Michonne's house, proposing that they talk about a potential trade with the town that he comes from. Especially after creeping up on them after post-coitus from last week's episode, which I forgot to mention. At the end, he just shows up right there after Rick and Michonne just got done getting down. He's just like, guys, can we talk? Like, casually, like, nothing. They're both naked in front of him. He's just like, whatever. But anyways, he proposes that they go to his town that he comes from called the Hilltop, where they can hopefully make some kind of trade because he managed to scope out Alexandria while he was there and nobody noticed. And this gives the people of Alexandria an incentive to at least try this out, because he scoped them out and he didn't take any of the... He literally looked at the guns and he didn't take any of the guns. He didn't take any of the footage. He's just like, hey, you guys got a nice place there. So they're like, okay, he didn't take shit, so let's just do it. And so they drive him to the town known as the Hilltop. And from the point of Alexandria to going there, those minutes were fine. It's about 10 or 15 minutes. I thought they were fine. It didn't blow me away or anything. They go and save those people. They kind of validate Jesus' story. But besides that, there was nothing that riveting. It wasn't until that we got to the Hilltop where we got the introduction of new characters, a new setting that kind of resonates that Western vibe that Jesus was giving me in last week's episode when he meets Rick and Daryl for the first time. The town kind of has that similar look. In fact, they go back to that electric guitar music of it being kind of like a Western. And then we meet with Gregory, the leader of the group, who it feels like there's something shady going on there. They propose that they trade, but he's not willing to budge all that much. And it isn't until the turning point of the episode where we got these survivors from Hilltop coming and saying, hey, we gotta kill you, Negan's orders. And here Rick and the crew put these guys down in front of Gregory, who ended up getting stabbed, and this kind of sets a motion of events that turns the episode around. And this scene was significant for two particular reasons. One, it showed just how powerful Negan can be. He's not even in the same place, and he already has other people killing for his bidding. That's some scary stuff right there. That's what makes him a truly intimidating villain. And the second thing is that it shows the differences between Rick's crew and the people of Hilltop, which could lead to a potential trouble with this back half of the season. It has me worried. It wasn't a problem within this episode, but I feel like it could become a problem for the show, which is not necessarily a new problem that The Walking Dead will have, because they've done this shit before. They have a town who's not used to... They don't know how to fight. They're not used to having incidents like that where people get killed right in front of them in cold blood. and they frown upon the resort of killing as the only option. Just like Rick looked around and he's just like, "What?" Like it was nothing, and everybody else is like, "Oh my God, he stabbed me with blood." Gee, I wonder what we got when we done this before. Yeah, so The Walking Dead is not necessarily new to taking old themes and old plot lines and recycling them all over again. Remember when I was mentioning about the whole thing with Ron and Carl, Ron wanting to kill Carl, Glenn and Nicholas all over again. So I'm really scared that they're going to go back to the trope of Alexandrians not learning how to fight and do the same shit with Hilltop. It doesn't look like they're going there because after this incident, Rick, not only does this incident do those things, but it also introduces the concept of Negan to Rick and the group. They're like, who's this Negan guy? And that's where they see their opportunity to take care of Negan and the Saviors, and in exchange they get half, not just a little bit, but half of the supplies that Hilltop is willing to offer, and they see that as a viable trade, which you can kind of make arguments for both sides. There's like no real right or wrong answer here, because there's arguments for why they would do this. It feels like a gamble that they're willing to take, like, hey, we can take half of the supplies here and keep us alive for like literally a couple of more years. But at the same time, you could also make an argument as to why Rick and the group should just stay out of this whole thing. I mean, maybe they could avoid some disaster later on in the season, possibly a casualty. But anyways, yes, Gregory accepts this, and they set out to take care of Negan. They load up the van with supplies, and I don't know if they're going to stop at Alexandria first to kind of resupply on ammo and guns and whatnot, which would be the wise choice, or they're going to go straight to Negan. I say go to Alexandria because not only do they need a restock, but I would also like for this to be an opportunity to pick up Carol and Morgan, because they were completely absent in this episode. In fact, early on, Daryl is asked by, Jesus like, hey, my compliments to the chef of the cookies, and Daryl's like, she's not here. I'm like, okay, where is she? Because she was completely gone the entire episode, and she was barely there in last week, so her and Morgan. So I hope that this is a way to kind of bring him back into the main story. And by the end of this episode, I was left with a couple of, one question and one thing that hopefully gives me optimism of them avoiding the whole Alexandrian thing of teaching people how to fight, is the fact that they set out on this mission to take care of Negan. That they literally leave the Hilltop and they go and they venture out to either go to Alexandria and make a pit stop there, or head straight into Negan territory, which is a little weird considering we still have 4 more episodes to go before we get the season finale, which will introduce Negan. So I'm wondering what they're going to do in those 4 episodes. Probably flesh out Jesus' character a little bit more, which I'm hoping they do, because I was kind of hoping for that to happen in this episode, and they didn't. This does kind of, to an extent, eliminate the possibility of them retreading the whole teaching people how to fight type of thing, since we're already leaving the Hilltop. That would be a very wise choice. The one question that I do have, however, is why didn't Daryl mention anything about the Saviors? Because him and Sasha and Abraham encountered them. In fact, when Jesus mentions the Saviors, Daryl kind of like approaches him like, what did you say? Yeah, he had that type of look. So I'm wondering why he didn't say anything exactly, and will that come to fruition eventually. So definitely a slower episode from last week's, and it did have that rough start, but after that things get rolling, and now a moment felt like filler. And I'm very happy to see that in The Walking Dead. So I give Not Untie a low 8 out of 10. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode of The Walking Dead, and do you think that Abraham is going to make those pancakes? I'll see you guys next time.